So all of those sort of little moments of serendipity, it's going to happen, 1 in 50. But you want to do it those 50 times, or those 49 times, so that 50th time happens. Those kinds of connections often open the door to funding.
And I think in sort of defense of the argument that the procrastinating devil on your shoulder is saying, why should I spend time applying for fellowships? It sounds like a lot of work. It really is a great investment in your professional development. If you want to go into academics, grant writing is just going to be part of your life, so you might as well get a really good start on practicing it now. And also, with regards to, and outside of academia, I think if that's the career plan that you choose, grant writing is a really great transferable skill. It's all about communicating to an audience, articulating your ideas clearly. It's just a wonderful skill to have. And I heard a really good testimonial from one of the students we worked with who won a prestigious fellowship. He's now on the job market. He was invited in this climate, the employment climate, he was invited to apply for, and he later received the job, based on the fact that he had received a prestigious federal fellowship that had a certain cachet and sort of separated him or distinguished him from the potential applicant pool that hadn't even come up yet. So it's another way to really give yourself an edge on the job market. And it shows that you're motivated, you plan ahead, all these great things that an employer would want to see, right?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you also can get a little extra money from the university. If you, I don't know if they're still doing this, but I had a FLAS my third year to study Portuguese. And it was silly for me to apply. It was like $500 more, the FLAS, than what my stipend was. For you guys, it's probably even less. The FLAS is now way below what all of your stipends are. But I actually, upon getting the FLAS, not only then get to put it on my resume, but the university gave me a little bit of extra money to say thank you so much for getting outside funding, and we don't have to spend money on you this year. So finding out how that works and where those systems work can also be useful, because it's not always only a line on your resume. Sometimes it can be an extra couple $1,000s.
It's always in your best interest too to do something like that. The university will make it worth your while.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Because remember, they pay your tuition, so the university gets $30,000 plus your stipend money from and then you get the stipend money, but the university gets the tuition money. So the university is super psyched if you can go out and get these extra grants.
It's true, yeah. And it's also a really great way to get to know your advisors and talk with them when asking for letters of recommendation, and that really sets you apart, from others in your cohort. Wow, this person's really together, and maybe it'll be the beginning of a deeper collaborative relationship or something like this. So it's always good. Any other questions about fellowship specifically that we didn't address? Okay, let's see. I guess that brings us then to time management. Oh, I want to go back one more time to the financial management piece. If, for example, a fellowship is just not in the cards for you, and you've got to figure out how to supplement your income, what are your options for that 6th, 7th year outside of fellowships? You've got student loans that might be an option for you to consider. You might consider putting immediate expenses, maybe the short-term expenses, on your credit card. So what would be the ramifications of that later? Can you really pay off that credit card in time, or is it going to get you in a deeper hole? Is it worth taking on an extra maybe teaching assignment or another kind of employment to help make ends meet? The downside there would be by spending more time at another teaching position or at another job. Obviously, you're spending less time on your project at hand, your degree completion. Will that set you back even further? So what is the cost of an extra year here? Is it going to be offset by the income from an external employment? So these are all really tough kinds of issues, and they'll be individual to each of your situations. But there are people who can kind of talk you through it. I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but the Student Loan Administration Office has graduate-specific advisors who can talk with you about what your options would be. Now that federal lending has kicked in, which is the direct lending from the government, the student loan landscape is different than it once was, maybe the last time you investigated that as an option. There are internal sources of funds within the university that are kind of bridge loans, short-term interest-free kind of loans to get you through if that's what you need. So it's really good to just make sure you don't rule out any option and talk to the people who can give you the ups and downs and comparative statistics on what's going to work best for you.
But keep in mind as you're thinking about making those trade-offs, I don't know what the information is now on when AR tuition kicks in and how long you can, I know that by the time you're in extended residence, teaching no longer exempts you from paying AR tuition. And for a certain amount of time it does. And so you can say, AR tuition, it doesn't matter how long I stay because if I just teach every quarter, my AR tuition is exempted. Well, at a certain point, that stops.
That's right.
And so you want to have all of that information because then all of a sudden you're paying, I don't know how much it is now, so I don't want to throw out a number, but AR tuition, which is not insignificant.
Right.
And the university continues to work on managing AR tuition so that it makes the most sense for graduate students and for the university. It's a complicated subject. But you want to have that in mind so that you don't keep thinking, just one more year, it'll be okay. There aren't that many costs involved because when you get to extended residence, you can get hit with a really big unexpected cost that you can't just get rid of by taking on teaching assignments.
And I think, David, that kind of gets at your question. There is even some variation within individual divisions and units on the extended residence, and I should say the academic track in general. So your expert on that, who you should always go to for these kinds of questions, would be your dean of students for your respective academic unit. The deans of students can really see the whole picture. They can offer you options for, how to temporarily stop the clock on the residence track for certain kinds of reasons, how to just eke out the most for you, because it's in their best interest to look out for your best interest. Your being here longer is ultimately going to hit their bottom line too. So this is really a great partner for you to have in financial management and planning. And I encourage you to talk with your dean of students, even if you just have general questions like, how does this scholastic residence academic tracking work? They will be able to tell you in much more articulate and succinct terms than we can here probably. And they will be delighted to know that you're already thinking about these things. So it's just something for you to keep in mind. So finally, I guess onto time management. And this is an area where we do, as a university, I think, offer some really good resources.